Jump in. Awesome. So welcome to the November 8th, 2023 group call. We'll go ahead and get started. So today's call is going to be focused entirely upon the exact process that I use to generate between 12 and 20K in net profit in a single month in under 60 minutes. So that's the kicker. There's probably some people making more money than that. However, the kicker is the less than 60 minutes a day. That was the challenge. I told you guys that I was going to be aiming for until the end of the year. And then from there, adding some other marketing aspects to kind of get aggressive with it, show you guys some cool stuff, help you with whatever we have going on there. So on today's call, to give you the specifics of what I want to cover, is I want to cover the first of all, we're gonna revisit a little bit with the niching down, just to explain some of the main uh, pain points that people experience when they do that part wrong. Then we're gonna cover finding freelancers, pricing, and putting together high ticket projects using some project management software to reduce fulfillment to less than 15 minutes a day. That is the kicker. Creating your SOPs, reducing your fulfillment cycles, creating for the SOPs, by the way, it's also going to be SOPs on marketing and sales calls, and then also fulfillment, and then reducing your fulfillment cycles by productizing your services. So not selling products, but productizing your services. So I'll explain what that means. You may have seen other people talking about it, so I'm going to give you some context there. And then essentially the best way to organize your daily activities to remain efficient. Before we jump in, do we have any questions on on anything from the past week or so? Anything that's like burning a hole in your brain that you want to ask before we jump in? Because when we cover this topic, more questions are probably going to arise. So if you have a question that you brought to the call, let me know now. Nothing at all? Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and jump in. So the main focus when it comes to essentially reducing your work down to 60 minutes is to have everything as streamlined as possible. So I'm going to cover with you those steps to essentially streamline it. A lot of what we're going to cover can be found, not the exact same content, but a lot of context can be found in the SASO training where we talk about simplifying, automating, scaling, and optimizing. That is going to be pivotal to essentially streamlining your own business. Now, you can't cut weight that isn't there. So if you have done any wrestling, if you've done bodybuilding, if you've just, you know, uh got fat or, wanted to lose weight or whatever, right? You can't cut weight that isn't there. So you have to gain the weight, then we have to cut the weight. So I'm going to show you essentially how we build that process out where there's going to be some weight gain and then cutting the fat and keeping the muscle. That is the optimization part, right? We want to optimize. So we want to lean out. The business terminology is literally lean out. The bodybuilding terminology is literally lean out. It's just leaning out. So the step that we're going to do that in is number one, the niching down. So when we are niching down, the easiest way to do it is two levels. So when we niche down in two levels, what we're going to do, if you've struggled with niching down, the easiest way to do it is you're going to niche down in a way where you are essentially picking an industry and then picking a service within that industry. Okay. That is the fastest way to niche down. So you're not going to say blue collar. You have to be specific. And I'm going to explain all of that in a minute. You have to be specific. You have to be specific in what you're niching down. You have to be specific in what you are offering them. If you don't know who you want to work with, if you don't know what you want to offer them, there's two routes you can go. You can go with just start broad. So basically take whoever you can get, figure out, just go along the path of working with different businesses. You will very quickly find out who you like and who you dislike. It is a painful process. However, you will essentially uh, kill every curious cat, so to speak. So if you, on the other hand, the other option is pick one and go with it. If you pick one and go with it, in the back of your head, you may be thinking the entire time that, oh, what if I had gone with this? What if I had gone with that? What if I had you know, chose this industry over that industry, and that's the one he told me to go, but that's not the one that I wanted to do, and I just did what he told me to do, and now I'm regretting it because what if I made more money there and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When it comes to picking a niche, every single niche is oversaturated. Every niche has pros and cons. Every niche has pros and cons. If you look at real estate, there's a lot of people in real estate. The profit margins are there. But because there's a lot of people in real estate, there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing in real estate. Anytime someone's in real estate and they're a solopreneur and they don't have a boss over them, people who don't have a boss over them are usually either really good people or they're really not great people and they're really awful people to work with because they have no one to keep them in check. If you go to maybe HVAC, you're gonna have a lot of down to earth guys who don't like wasting time. You might also find guys who are super lazy and don't want to ever get off their butt to do anything, right? So, of course, I'm generalizing, but I'm trying to show you that whatever niche you pick, you're going to have pros and cons. So, we talk about this on one of the calls. Very quick reiteration. When you're niching down, we want to have certain boxes checked. So, for example, service based. Why do we want service based? Because you're going to have your profit margin, you're going to have your unique selling proposition, and you are going to essentially, well, that's basically it. That's the profit margin and the unique selling proposition. Local. Why local? Because if you have a client in every city, then you can essentially retain a low to medium sized retainer for their services, and your clients in multiple cities, even within the exact same industry, are not going to compete. If you pick them all within the same city, they're going to compete. If you go regional or by district or by state or by the entire nation, then you can work with fewer people, which means your income is basically, if you lose a larger contract, then that's a huge chunk of your income. And I'm not saying you don't have to do it. I'm just giving you things to be aware of, right? Then we want to make sure that the industry is somewhat evergreen. Some people like to say boring businesses, accounting, legal, real estate, photography, videography, um, lawn care, HVAC, what else? Electricians, construction, right? Medical, anything medical for humans, for pets, right? So these are somewhat more boring businesses, but they're boring for a reason. They're evergreen. They are evergreen, which means it is very easy to understand them very quickly. So once we make sure that your industry is evergreen, once we make sure that your industry has profit margin because it's a service based item, once we make sure you can create a unique selling proposition because it's service based, and once you make sure that you can increase the amount of clients you service by targeting on a city level, city by city level, then you have essentially found the right industry. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, I have a broad category, therefore I can go ahead and just stay broad. You cannot stay broad if your goal is to make more than 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K a month. You cannot stay broad. And I'm going to cover exactly why you cannot stay broad. I'm also going to show you more. This isn't just going to be a whole conversation on niching down because that would be extremely boring. So, with niching down, the fastest way to do it when we're selecting the niche, it's twofold. Number one is niching down in terms of industry. So you have to be specific. The second hand item when it comes to niching down is the service that you want to provide. We need to productize that service. Does anybody know what I mean when I say productize the service? And this is like very new terminology. I'm trying to use some terminology that like a few other people have been using, just in case that's something that you guys recognize. I call it the shortening the fulfillment cycle. Some people call it turning the service into a product or productizing the service. Anybody have any idea?
Could it be like, selling, the same or similar types of things to everybody in the niche?
Exactly. So it's basically like you take your services, you make them so repeatable that you can essentially sell it as a package or a product. So by selling it as a product or a package, you have turned a service, which is traditionally very customizable, very tailored to the individual, and you have streamlined it as much as possible. Now, does that mean you're going to remove any customization, any tailoring to the client? No, because then your fulfillment is going to take a hit. And if your fulfillment doesn't do well, then your reputation is going to take a hit. So no, that's not what all I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have to shorten that fulfillment cycle. When we are shortening the fulfillment cycle, we're essentially figuring out the way we want to do things, and then we are doing them faster. That's basically what it boils down to. So if you want to shorten your fulfillment cycle, we have to figure out how we do it, the way we like to do it, the most efficient way to do it. And then we have to make that go faster and faster, not only for you, but also for your virtual assistant. So I'm going to help you out with that. So let's go over to the infamous whiteboard. Any questions along the way? This is for you guys. So please interrupt. So if you have two niches, let me show you why this is a serious, serious issue. If you have two niches, right? If you have two niches, somebody throw me out a service that you do for your clients. It can be
Local SEO.
okay. You said what was it? Local SEO?
Yeah.
Cool. And I can actually I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this for now. Okay. Local SEO. Somebody give me a second one.
Restaurant reviews.
Okay. So let's go and I'll just leave them blue for now. Well, we just do review generation. Somebody give me a third one. Text. So maybe we can do like simplified messaging. And then that can either be with a VA or without. Somebody give me another one.
Automation integration.
Great. Yeah, so we'll do a third party integration. All right. So just with these, and obviously there's like way more services, right? We could go into goodness, we could do paid marketing, organic marketing, content creation. We could get really crazy with it and start adding in a lot of services, right? Here's the issue. When you are trying to create this business that's focused on this, right? This is already a lot of work. When we niche down, the reason we're niching down is to do two things. It's to remove competition, and it is also to very quickly standardize your process. What do I mean when I say that? Well, check this out. If you have two of these, because you cannot pick what niche you're in, or you've gone too broad and you've said, hey, I do all blue collar services, or I do all legal services, right? And again, imagine all the services that go into it. This is like a super simplified view, right? But all the services that go into it. The issue becomes when you are doing all of these things, every time you work in another niche, offering even the exact same thing, you have to tailor it completely to another industry. So instead of mastering lawn care, or lawn care SEO, you also have to master local SEO for plumbing. And while you may say, okay, cool, well, that's not that difficult. Well, every time you have to master a new niche, you restart the process of productizing. Am I saying that you cannot switch niches? Am I saying that you have to work with one industry? Am I saying that you are limited to whom you can help? What I'm saying is you need to streamline things. And the fastest way to streamline things is to pick one niche. Because if I have to pitch local SEO for lawn care and HVAC are two very different beasts when it comes to marketing. Because with lawn care, we're looking for route density, right? With HVAC, I don't know what we're looking for with HVAC necessarily because I don't work with HVAC. I can't say route density because that wouldn't make sense. Hey, I'm looking for 10 people back to back to back in the same neighborhood with broken sinks. That would be very concerning. I don't know what the probability of that is, right? But if you tell me, hey, route density for lawn care, that makes way more sense because it's like, cool, I can literally just hop on my mower, mow everyone's lawn before I get back on the trailer, right? So that right there changes the context of the offer for these two different industries, right? Review generation. Well, when we're doing review generation, that might be simple, but that's going to be two different sets of templates for the automatic sequences that go out to retarget. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But then you're split testing the nurture sequences. You're not only split testing, which is already double the work. Now you're split testing the review gen and you're split testing review gen for another industry. So the amount of work starts increasing. And if you're thinking, well, it's not that much work, you just change this or this, you're absolutely right. It is not that much work. And you're just changing two things, but it never ends there. Because then if you do anything, if you do something simple like review generation for lawn care and for HVAC, the HVAC ticket, and he's going to say, well, can you do this? And can you do this? And can you do this? And can you do over here some marketing? Can you do some content creation? Can you help me out with here or here? So what happens is, yes, it's very simple, but the sheer fact that you're going to have to change so much of your language and so much of your templates is going to essentially counter any kind of standardization you made for your core niche. So I'm saying this to say, this sounds simple. A lot of the stuff is extremely simple. Yeah, efficiency. A lot of the stuff is extremely simple. But when it comes to if you're trying to make a substantial amount of money, and for anyone who tells you like 100,000 is not a substantial amount of money, the top 1% in America makes over 400K. So if you're adding $100,000 to your income, you are doing well above the average and you are slowly approaching the top 1% in less than an hour of your day. Okay. So anybody tells you, your goal should be a million, yeah, aim high. Because if you fall short of a million, we talked about this in the ARR path to a million. If you fall short of a million, yeah, you're going to hit pretty high. But the fact is, if you're hitting six figures in less than an hour a day, and you can replicate and increase your volume, like Hormozy said, just 10x what you're doing once you figure it out. That's the key point. It is truly that simple. But you absolutely cannot do that by niching, having multiple niches. You can't. It's not going to work because all you're going to end up doing is being inefficient. And it's not a matter of, well, can I do two niches in 2 hours a day? No, you cannot. Because if you go through the SASO University training, which is the fastest, most actionable way to figure out the niche, the offer, all of that, if you go through it, then you understand how much research goes into it. You understand how much DMing goes into it. You understand how much of it is trial and error because you're doing it a free way. And by the way, if you go a paid route, I promise you it's the same amount of trial and error, except now you're paying to do it. That's it. If you have ads, this is why I hate when people will say, I just want to jump into ads. If you have organic content that's not doing well, if I pay to promote it, all you're doing is speeding up the life cycle of a turd. That's it. So if you have turd content in organic, if you have turd offers in organic, if you have a turd website, a turd funnel, turd directory listings, and you start promoting it paid, all you're doing is saying, hey, I want more people to see poop. That's all you're doing. You're paying for a Super Bowl ad for a crap commercial. That's not going to increase your conversion. If anything, it's going to get you laughed at, right? So we have to niche down specific, and then we have to also niche down and clarify exactly what we want to offer. So I'm not saying that you can't offer all of these different services within this niche. What I'm saying is we have to be very clear on what we are doing and on what we are not doing. We have to be very, very clear on that. Any questions so far? Is everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yes.
Awesome. So from here, now that we have niched down and we have understood that niching down is pivotal, we've understood the twofold approach to niching down, which is segment of a category. So blue collar and then a level deeper. So what blue collar, what professional services, right? You don't have to get so specific that you're like, I'm only working with CPAs with a last name that starts with a consonant. You don't have to do that. Okay. You do not have to do that. You are just simply niching down to a level where you can productize what you are trying to offer. That is it. So we are trying to productize the offer. That is why we're niching down. And then we need to understand what we are offering. So this is a big issue for several people here. This is where I want to cover the finding your freelancers, and I want to cover pricing your high ticket packages. Before I do that, is anybody on this call specifically stuck with not knowing what to offer? Because if I can help one of you with an actual example, it will resonate more. I see two. Are you guys saying that you're stuck with it or not stuck with it?
I'm pretty stuck with I mean, kind of like I know what to service, but like I don't have like a core offer around everything.
Okay. The offer, if you remember the offer is all of the deliverables. We don't pitch the offer, we pitch a claim. Okay. So for example, if you were like, I'm going to pick on you, Grant, because you're kind enough to interact. How familiar are you with just like basic, like weightlifting in general?
I lift most days, so I'm pretty
Sweet, sweet.
familiar.
Okay. So if a trainer comes to you and says, "Hey, Grant, I'm going to show you how to bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, curl. I'm going to show you how to actually like choose your rest times at 1 or 3 minutes. I'm going to show you how to build nutrition." Is that an offer or is that a claim?
An offer.
It's the offer. It's basically what I'm offering to help you with. The claim, and I understand some people might complain and say, "Well, this is you're just playing semantics." I'm playing semantics because I want to make it very clear to help the communication for you guys. So the offer is essentially the deliverables of what we're helping them do. So it would be SEO, automation, virtual assistants, content creation, organic marketing, paid marketing, business coaching, right? It could be any of those. And then when you look within a specific one, it could be like, "Hey, we're going to give you the templates or we're going to build it for you or we're going to show you how to build it with you." Right. And so you have to nail down what exactly you're willing to do with them or for them. Right. From there, you would generate the claim. The claim, you can have several claims. The claim could be like, and again, using the weightlifting example or the fitness example, it could be like, "Hey, we're going to help you lose 10 pounds in 15 days or your money back, all from home, by the way." Did I tell you what kind of exercise we're going to be doing?
No,
Did I list off, "Hey, this is why I'm the best and you should listen to me"?
no, just what the outcome is.
The claim, right? Yeah, the outcome, the end goal, the desired achievement, whatever it looks like. So for you, when you're creating your list of offers, what we want to do is we want to figure out two things. So number one, the triangle ascension offer model. What does our client need start to finish to win? And then number two, within the triangle ascension offer model, what do you want to help them with? And we've got to get super specific. What do you want to help them with? So if you want to help out the brand new guys and you want to aim for a more DIY level, then this is very simple. You categorize and you list based off of your competitor analysis, your avatar analysis, and your um, market analysis, essentially all the things that these people do and or want and or offer, right? So what are my competitors offering? That should be a starting list of things to consider to offer because ideally if the best of the best competitors are offering this, then I would hope they're making money off of it, right? If the number one Google suggested um, competitor is offering these things, that might be a good starting point to consider. If the person with the most amount of reviews is offering XYZ, that might be a good starting point. If you have testimonials and they're raving about a specific offer, that might be a good area to start with, right? So we want to look at what the market wants, and then we want to look at what you want to provide. So for me, I don't help people with SEO or paid marketing. I create, simply put, the automated fulfillment system or the client acquisition system, right? That's what everybody calls it right now is a done for you client acquisition system. I call it the automated fulfillment system because what you're doing is you're automating more than just the client acquisition. So the whole purpose of me saying this is because I know that I can execute rapidly on those items. And I know that I don't like dealing with SEO and paid marketing. That being said, I know a substantial amount about those topics to where I can hand those off to people whom I trust. And in return, they will give me money. So this is the really cool part is when you standardize and productize what you want to do, you can simultaneously remove yourself from the services that you may not be able to provide at quality. And from there, you can still monetize those and you can increase your network at the same time. So, for example, for me, if I were to map out what I like to do and what I dislike to do, right?
As
Just
in you personally?
me personally.
Okay.
So I will do what I say me personally, but like I have a team, right? So I will
Okay, so
do
your agency or business.
right. But remember, I don't want them to do something that I can't step in and take over. So
Okay.
we'll go funnel creation, website creation, all automations, all third party integrations. And then we'll go nurture, retarget campaigns, and we'll do case study, VSL creation. This is usually where I like to focus what I'm doing because I know that I can create my SOP based off of this and that can be kickstarted. Now, if you remember the life cycle, when we look at the triangle ascension offer model, and we're looking at essentially the life cycle of start to finish, right? Because the end goal, that's the whole point of the triangle ascension offer model, is when you get to the top, what are you looking to help them do? Automate, expand, exit. So that means start to finish. So for me, I like to come in and I like to help these guys who are pretty good at what they're doing, but their digital presence isn't the best. And so we'll come in and we'll do the funnel, the website, the automations, the third party integration, the nurturing and retarget campaigns, the case study, and the VSL. This is essentially a really strong digital profile. And we'll even do some like light social media coaching, right? And I'm actually adding a new offer in where I do it's done for you content creation. So I actually have a new offer where I have a team that flies out. So I have our first client landed already for the weekend of December 15th, 16th. I have a videography team that flies out to my clients, sets up $30,000 to $40,000 worth of camera equipment and goes through the exact scripts that we create them and then comes back and edits the whole thing for them. So for me, this is what I do and don't do. So if it's not on that list, I'm not going to do it. Now, this is twofold because some of you might be thinking, well, I want to do something different. Just hear me out for a second. This is where if I know that this is all I'm doing, I know that I can create SOPs based off of this, right? If somebody comes to me and says, I want you to run ads for me, what do you think I'm going to say? You can just react with the emojis. Exactly.
No.
No. If someone comes to me and says, can you run SEO for me? What do you think I'm going to say?
Same thing.
No. Why? Now, let's say they're throwing money at me. Why would I say no if I could fulfill? Why would I say no?
We're not in the place to polish a turd.
It's not just polishing a turd. In this case,
Not only yourself. You don't know how to do it yourself.
I don't want to do it myself because it's going to, I have no SOP on it. And even if I did, remember, I'm essentially elongating my client fulfillment cycle. I want to shorten my client fulfillment cycle. But what I can do is I can pitch this for between $4,000 to $10,000. And from here on the back end, they will pay to retain, depending on what kind of setup they have, between 97. And then if they have third-party integrations, we plug that in. And there's some variable costs, of course, if you understand, Zapier. Sometimes people have like lifetime values of Pabbly or whatever, but usually it goes from 97 to about 297, and then some variable costs depending on email, SMS, and third-party automations or those premier automations in high level.
So a lot of sorry, but
Yeah, go ahead.
a lot of your cash flow is from upfront costs, typically with what you're doing. Like upfront, like as in like not part of the retainer. You kind of, you charge big upfront and then have a lower retainer just to have it running.
Right. And the reason that's my preferred way, and you don't have to do it this way. There's several ways to do it, but the reason this is my preferred way is because if they say, I'm going to quit the business tomorrow, I have monetized it. If they say, I'm going to keep this business forever, I have monetized that relationship. If they come to me and they say, we love what you did, can you do XYZ for me? Guess what I can do? I can find people, and I already have a large network, so it's not like I'm starting from scratch. I can find people who are really good at what they do, and I can say, hey, I'm going to connect you with somebody. And all this person does is solve this exact problem. So now you are essentially getting the best of every single expert or SME, subject matter expert, within their specific areas, right? What this allows me to do is, so for example, most of you guys are familiar with Bill, our local SEO guy. If I have a client who says, hey, I want you to do my local SEO, I'm going to say, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to connect you with somebody who's really good at doing it. And so when I connect them with somebody like Bill, Bill might say, hey, Alec, thank you for getting me a free client. Because of my usual client acquisition costs, I'm going to pay you
You get like broker fees or brokerage.
exact exactly. I'm going to pay you between 5 and 10% over a year, or I'll pay you a flat rate of like a $1,000 kickback, right? This is why I like this method. If I hand it off to Bill, and I know Bill's not here to defend himself, but if I hand him off to Bill, it's now Bill's responsibility. If he doesn't do well, my reputation is somewhat protected. Yes, I recommended him, but my reputation is somewhat protected. And I'm getting paid just for saying, go talk to Bill, right? I had the other day, it was a few Fridays ago, some guy messaged me. I checked my PayPal and it was like, it said $1,000. I'm like, $1,000. I was like, did I just pay $1,000 bill? I was like, what is this? I get $1,000. I check Facebook. I got a message from a guy. He says, hey, you sent somebody to me. He closed with me. Here's $1,000. It was like 20% of the package. It was a 20% kickback because the dude was basically sold just by me saying, oh, I love this guy's content. Check him out. That was the easiest $1,000 I've ever made. Right. And then he followed up with me a few days later, or a few days ago, actually. And he was like, hey, I just want to let you know this dude is crushing it. I'm like, that means so much to me. That's so cool to hear. Easiest $1,000 I ever made. So when we are productizing what we're doing, it doesn't mean that you have to basically tell people, hey, like shove off. I'm not doing that. You can tell people, hey, this isn't where I specialize. However, let me connect you with somebody who's very good at this. And then you reach out to the person, you say, hey, I've got a client for you. What's your referral package look like? And Jacob, I'll get your question in 2 seconds. So what would be really cool, right? Is let's say Grant wants to focus on content creation. And let's say, I don't know, Jake wants to do SEO. And let's say Mo is like phenomenal with paid ads. There's no reason why in the SASO University community, you can be like, hey, I have a client who needs this. Does anybody specialize in it? I'm not saying throw away money, but when it comes to something that maybe you're not the best at and you have someone who's very serious about it and you want to make sure they get a good quality, there's no reason why you can't say, hey, I'm going to set up your systems, your automations, everything. They'll be on my high level at 97, but then they'll be paying this dude 997 to do his SEO for him. And because we're all in the same high level community, we can all just, it's very easy. We're all very familiar with the platform. This will allow you to keep your services productized. This is key. This is key. Jacob, let me get your question before I move on to my next point.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So is this for the people that were going, like in my case, or is this the restaurants that I'm coming to help out that I'm throwing all this, like, obviously, sourcing the work? Or is this for, it almost sound, I'm getting confused a little bit with who we are to you and then who, like the client is. Is the client my restaurant person? Like that's who I want, right?
For
Makes sense?
your, yeah, for you, you're focused on restaurants. So that would be who you're trying to, that would be the first fold. The first half of your niche would be the restaurants. The second half would be, what are you trying to offer to them specifically?
Okay, correct. I'm on.
Yeah.
thought
So
it
you,
was- I thought it was more of a coaching call because I don't want to coach people right now because I know I can't do. I can, but I
no, you're not,
coach
no,
them.
you're
Maybe
not
that's why
coaching.
good.
Yeah. You're,
Okay, I don't want to coach.
yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially what happens is if you want to end, like if the end goal is that you want to be broad, then you have to start specific and then reverse engineer. Again, like a typical example, look at Alex Hormozy, focused on gyms. Now he does business consultation. Look at Neil Patel, focused on SEO. Now he does business and he does full marketing packages. Look at, I can't remember his name. There's this guy who just does equity deals. Look at the profit dude on TV, not profit, like religious profit, like money. He comes in and flips
Yeah.
these businesses, right? They all started somewhere very specific and then they became broad. So you have to start super specific. And then from there, you have to reverse engineer essentially to go to the broad level. But to start, if you want to be an expert, and this is a very good point, I'm glad you brought this up. If you want to retain that sense of authority, you have to only speak on what you know confidently. So if you want to come in and you want to say as a beginner, I know automations, I know SEO, I know paid marketing, I know website creation, there's no way that you are the best of the best in all of those areas.
Right.
This is why time after time after time, I keep telling you guys the end goal is going to be becoming a digital project manager. But you cannot connect with professionals on a topic that you know nothing of. Right. And I'm not saying this to you, Jacob. This goes to me too. This goes to everybody. I can't talk to a marine biologist because I have no idea what the heck they do. Right. It wouldn't make sense for
Right.
me to be like, oh, I can speak your language. They'd be like, what? Okay. They'll sniff out the fraud right away.
Yes.
So you have to only speak on what you know, only speak on your experience. And you have to be bold enough to say, hey, I'm not an expert in that area, or hey, I don't really know about that. I can find out for you, or I can find someone who can do it, but that's not something I do. And so when you own those things confidently, what you both do and don't know, what you both do and don't do, then you become more authoritative because it is very easy for you to be confident. For example, if I ask any one of your names, would any of you struggle to tell me your first and last name? No. Would you struggle to tell me your age? No. Would you struggle to tell me where you grew up? Unless you're, I don't know, Logan the Wolverine who had a head trauma injury and wakes up at like 34 with metal claws, like you probably know these questions. So when I ask them to you, you can probably answer them with confidence. Nobody's going to say like, well, Grant's not an expert in his name. Tony doesn't know his name. No, they're going to be like, what's your name? Tony. Christian, right? Naman. Like you're going to know your name. So when you're speaking on topics that you know, and you just admit like, hey, this is my experience, this is where I am. This is where we talked about in the last call, just owning your position, owning your experience. Nobody can take that confidence away from you. Well, are you sure you had Cheerios for breakfast? Like, yes, I was there. I was the one like turning the bowl up and drinking the milk at the end. Like that was me. Like you can't make me not remember having Cheerios for breakfast, right? Well, are you sure you know what Cheerios taste like? Like, yes, I ate about 182 of them in that bowl, right? So this is where it's very important. Where if you're niching down, you become you reduce a lot of your competition. How many marketers are there versus marketers specifically for an industry? You reduce tremendously. And then you focus on one specific area of fulfillment. It could be organic marketing. It could be content marketing. It could be paid marketing. It could be specifically PPC. It could be the funnel website creation. It could be the automations. It could be the client acquisition. It could go on and on and on. I'm not saying you have to be so specific that you only do one thing and, God forbid you reach outside the lines that you've decided to color in. But what I'm saying is you have to understand what you're willing to do and not willing to do. And then you have to standardize that process. This is how you productize it. You have to standardize it. When you standardize it, creating your SOPs, it is going to be much easier to actually deliver on these different categories because you now understand, hey, when it comes to local SEO for plumbers, you're going to know what services they offer. You're going to know exactly what they do and don't offer. When they tell you we do, um, tankless water heaters, you're going to know, okay, cool. I knew that from the first client and the second client and the third client. Like I know what this is. When they say we do 24/7, emergency services, you're going to know roughly how to position that. And then you're going to know basically all we're doing is changing the branding colors, the unique selling proposition, which is usually the about us or any other features or benefits, the pricing, maybe a slight description. You're not going to just copy paste, obviously. But the fact of the matter is it becomes very repetitive, right? That is the whole purpose. It becomes very, very repetitive. And that is how you standardize it. So you create your SOPs. How do we create the SOPs? This is very, very easy. As you work, you document your process. You're just going to write out a list of tasks as you go. And the first time you do it, you're going to be fumbling around. The first time you do anything, there's a reason why if you get it right the first time, they're like, oh, beginner's luck. The first time you do it, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be, um, you know, interesting. It's going to be, sometimes you're going to get it right. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to say stupid things and sometimes you're not. Like one of my first clients, it was my lawn care guy. I was like, hey, do you stripe lawns? Like that'd be something cool to put on the website. He was like, yeah, everyone stripes lawns. Like nobody cares. I was like, oh, okay. Right there, I'm like, wow, that's a stupid question, but I didn't know. Right. So the next client who's in lawn care, guess what I didn't say? Hey, do you stripe lawns? I'm just like, hey, what kind of equipment do you have? Okay, that's a fair question. That shows that probably I've been doing this for more than one client. So it takes when you're standardizing it, what you're going to do is the exact same thing in the SASO University training, which is you have to first list out what you're doing as you go. This is called lessons learned. So every client you work with, you go to Google Drive, you make a new folder, you name it after the client. You take that link, you go to ClickUp. In ClickUp, you create a list or a task as the client. In the client's task, you can create a folder or you can just create a task. I like creating a task and then having the actual work be the subtasks. That way you can see all your clients in one location versus having to filter through all the folders. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just pick a way and do it. You're gonna pick a way, you're gonna hate it, you're gonna try the other way, you're gonna hate it more, you'll come back to the first way. It doesn't matter. You have the ClickUp task or folder where you have all that work listed. I do the ClickUp task. That's what I'm going to explain it. In the description of ClickUp task, you copy paste your Google folder link. And in the Google folder link, you have a document that says lessons learned. And basically, as you go, you put lessons learned in there. You put lessons learned. Lesson learned. Don't do this before that. Lesson learned. Change this or before that. And then when you're done with the client, or as you go, you can change around your SOP. Like I know, hey, if I got these questions out of the client on our first onboarding meeting, but I missed these questions and I'm having to go back and pester him or her, it might be better in the next time I do an onboarding session to get those questions answered as well. Or to put in my contract, hey, there's a minimum time needed or maximum time needed that should go between communication. Like we need to set up these meetings on a periodic basis, or we need to communicate at a minimum an X amount in order for me to deliver. So you put no communication requirements, and then you're like, hey, I can do this in 30 days. And they don't respond to you for 32 days. And then they're like, hey, I want my money back. I want my refund because you didn't do it. And you're like, well, you didn't communicate. Oh, that's not in the contract. And then that's the lessons learned. And so you want to document, it's basically like business journaling. Like this sucked because I did it in the wrong order. So next time, do it in the right order. And if you're willing to be a forever learner or a forever student and improve as you go, you will continue to stay lean. That's how you simplify your process. Because if you know, if you have to collect certain information for the onboarding and you don't collect it up front, then you know you have to reach out to them and you have to wait to get that answer. And then once you get the answer, then you can start that task. Well, how much longer did it take you to complete that task because you didn't collect it up front? That could add days. If you don't have logins for something, that could take days. Anybody ever had that where they didn't give you access to some software or some information you needed? It's like pivotal step number like 2 or 3, and you've got 84 steps to do. And it's some stupid step that they just have to get you, and they could just text it to you, but they don't.
I had a guy get frustrated because I asked for the logins like back to back to back, and he never gave them to me, and he's like, this isn't working out, and just like stopped. This was like a while back.
Yeah.
It was bad.
And so the lesson learned is, hey, I need access to all of your logins. Here is the email that you need to give access to. If I don't have access after a certain amount of time, then we're not going to move forward. And so basically what I do is after the onboarding call, have like a 2 to 7 day period. I like to say a week, a 7 day period where you're like, hey, if I don't have this information within 7 days, I'm just going to drop you as a client. And in that same 7 days, I do a full refund, by the way. So guess what? I'm not starting any of the work within 7 days. And if they want to quit at any point in the 7 days, I'll give them all their money back. So they have a great guarantee and it does nothing to you. So that's like a nice little double whammy. Guess how I learned that? From messing up 100 freaking times. Right? And it sounds stupid, but imagine the amount of time I've wasted doing it. So yeah, what's up?
Are you just holding that like in a separate account or whatever until what tells you to start spending the money? Because that's all I really see is people dealing with all these people, so many people mad at this, mad at that. It's like, look, A2P is against me. Like you're either going to do it or you're not.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just freaking do it and quit whining. But no, so many times I see this where people kind of get, screwed. They don't have the money to then pay their refunds.
Yeah. So this is how it goes. Number one, what's happening is those people that are getting screwed, that frequency are not learning. If you go and every time you have sex, the girl gets pregnant and you haven't learned to put a condom on by then, I think we know who the problem lies with. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Yeah.
crass analogy, but if they're like, well, why does she keep getting pregnant? Well, what kind of, what kind of knowledge do you have about, sexual education and maybe, I don't know, abstinence in this case? But like, it's the same thing. If you eat a bunch of sweets before bed and you keep having wild dreams and nightmares, you're like, well, why am I having nightmares? Well, you keep eating sugar before bed. And then they go back and do it again. You're like, what are you doing? It's like it's like little kids. They put their hand on the stove, it hurts, and then they go, oh, maybe I'll try the other hand. What are you doing? Like, if you don't learn from your mistake, then and I'm not saying you have to learn the first time. Sometimes it takes a few times to get your head around the concept. And that's fine. The fact is continuously trying to learn, right? It is continual learning. So when it comes to you are trying to, let's say like the refund thing. Number one, if you have an LLC, which should cost you no more than 100, 200 bucks at most, you get an EIN for free. You go to Novo, which is a free banking app. You send them your articles of incorporation. You use Stripe, which is free. If they send you the payment and there's that transaction fee, that's the only fee that might come out of your pocket if you issue a refund. But you can even let them know in the contract. You can let them know ahead of time. Hey, if you ask for a refund, it's going to be minus the um, transaction fees. You can set expectations, which is what I want to do, which is essentially my underlying point. So when it comes to the SOPs, setting expectations in those onboarding calls and setting expectations in the contract, which you need to review. Don't just slip them a contract that's like they're selling their soul. You need to outline and underline essentially the expectations. So A2P, hey, well, check this out. A2P, social media ad pixels, and SEO. You know what they have in common? You have very little impact on it. And Cam said so many people with A2P problems don't even know the basic regulations it's enforcing. Yeah, they don't. Most of the time, I don't know if this is the point you're making, Cam, but most of the time they don't do the research because if people who, I'm not saying all the time, but most of the people who really know what they're doing can get something approved within like 36 to, you know, 72 hours. Usually you can get it pretty quick. Now, sometimes there's a pain. I know I'm not saying if you're not doing it right, you're an idiot, but most of the time, or any time that you're dealing with SEO, when you're dealing with social media pixels, when you're dealing with A2P, guess what? You're applying for something to a third party and it is not up to you. So you have to set those expectations. Hey, I'm going to register you for A2P. Let me explain something. No matter who you go through, Tony says charge for A2P setup. Yeah, I've seen people do that. I love the idea of a setup fee, and I'm actually going to cover that. But when you go through and you're talking about, hey, I'm doing A2P, you need to explain this is the process. These are the hurdles. These are the potential outcomes. All I have in terms of impact on this role is how we submit those documents, how we submit that information, which is based off of exactly what you provide to me. So if you provide to me a clear information that is accurate, that is legally sound, like you're not giving me articles of incorporation with the address from 2 years ago. If you provide to me accurate information that is legally sound, then this process will go very smoothly. If there's a hiccup, here's what I will do, and I will communicate to you that there's a hiccup. If there's no hiccup, we should be good. If we don't know the reason for the hiccup, I'll investigate, but I will keep you in the loop. And communication is king. You go to them with the problem before they come to you asking what's going on. Because by the time they came to you asking, they've already cursed you out 50 times and, thrown things at the wall. So guess what? A2P, SEO. Oh, I guarantee you we can get you ranked. No, you cannot. You cannot. You're dealing with Google. That's the third party platform in that case. You cannot guarantee SEO rankings. What you can guarantee is I'm going to have everything set up within 1 to 2 to 4 weeks. And then you set up the website and the SEO. Doesn't mean it's going to rank. I can guarantee that I'm going to have it set up. I can guarantee that we're going to start attacking these keywords. I can guarantee I'm going to do XYZ that's already within the process that I've outlined to you. That can be how you make a guarantee. I can guarantee that I will handle the A2P registration and keep you posted. It is a pain to deal with, so let that be my pain, not yours. That is how you make a guarantee on things that you can't enforce. Social media pixels. I really hope I don't have to tell you guys this, but I'm going to. Never, ever, 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 ever run a client's ads on your pixel. Never. Their pixel, you gain login access, and you go from there. And from there, you can maintain the ad platform. But again, if they do something stupid to violate SEO rules, they do black hat crap, they're going to lose the SEO. They're going to lose SEO. They're going to get kicked off of Google. If they do something stupid on Facebook or Meta or whatever that platform is named nowadays, guess what's going to happen? They're going to lose access to their pixel. That's their fault. If they, my personal favorite, A2P, you cannot say certain things in the text messages. If they do that and they get the A2P account banned, that's their fault. So you have to have expectations set. You need to let them know, do not send a single thing without my say so, or refer to the words of things you cannot say, or here are the only template messages I want you saying. And if you don't follow me, here's what's going to happen. Your account's going to get banned, which is registered to your business. So you cannot make a new one. And I'm going to fire you as a client because you clearly cannot follow instructions. And you have to stand by your word. You have to. It is going to make your life way easier. Has anybody in this group, has anybody fired anybody before? Client or an actual person in person?
Yeah, I did it with some when I was a customer success manager for a SaaS company. It's not pleasant, but at the end of the day, everyone was high fiving because we just didn't have to deal with them.
Okay, let me ask you this, and this isn't a wiener measuring contest, so don't worry. How many people have you fired?
Two.
Two. Okay. Has anybody fired more than two people? Okay, cool.
For the
And
record, I've been fired twice too. So
okay, so it
that's zero.
balances out. It
That's
balances
zero.
out. I got you. Okay. So when you fired those two people, was it was firing one of them was firing either of them an easy thing to do?
No, definitely not.
Okay, cool. I fired over 50 people. I was also in the military for a while where you would have to rip these new kids apart, absolutely crush their spirit. We had a story time really quickly. I was an instructor for a short period of time, and the rule was no phones. And I caught somebody texting in class, and so they all stood up. We all went out in the big courtyard, and they did walking lunges until like somebody like fell down, and they were like, "My legs don't work." We just did lunges. It was just like simple. If you haven't done lunges before, just go do lunges for about 11 minutes and let me know how you feel. And it was on cadence, which means they don't go how they want to go. It's up, it's step, 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 step. Like it's on a beat. What I will tell you is no matter how many times that you have to discipline or fire somebody, it's never going to be easy. I had a boss tell me this once. If firing people becomes easy, something is seriously wrong with you. Okay. It doesn't mean like what Mo said. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a huge sense of relief because sometimes it's like pulling out a splinter. It's not going to feel great, but once it's out and starts to heal, it's way better. Right. But sometimes you have to fire clients. Okay. Um, this ties into, there's a Facebook post I replied to earlier today. I wanted to share with you guys. It ties into this as well. When you are choosing what you want to do and don't want to do, and the client thinks, well, I want to do it my way. Has anybody had that happen where you're like, I'm recommending as the expert, we do X, Y, Z. And the client goes, well, I want to do it this way, or I want to do it with this budget, or I want to do ABC instead. Has anybody had that experience yet?
Yes.
Great. This is what you do. You tell them straight up, this is my process. This is my process for a reason because it works. When I tell you to spend X amount of money, that's not a number I pulled out of thin air. If I tell you that it's going to take Y amount of hours, that's not a number I pulled out of thin air. When I tell you that we need to do Z tasks, those aren't things that I pulled out of thin air. Otherwise, why would you have come to me? In this case, I'm the professional. When it comes to doing what you're doing, you're the professional. But in this case, it's I'm the professional. So you have to let them know if you're not going to follow my process to a T, it's not going to work between us.
My
Why?
first,
Yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, my first client, I was just like, I basically just had this I had this like weird mindset, like I was just gonna do what they wanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like any little thing he wanted different on the website, I did it. Or like I remember he randomly, like, I don't know why I went along with this, but he wanted like like he had a new location or something, and like he could have like duplicated his Google listing, but he wanted to like switch up the branding, and I made a new Google listing for him. And I was like, and it obviously it turned out it did not go well.
Right.
So I was just following whatever he wanted to do with his digital presence, and it was just bad.
And here's my favorite line, right? So there's two things. I want to do it my way. Cool. Your way is what got you here. That's why you hired somebody like me. If you want to do it, if you want somebody to work for you, then I think you need to hire employees. But you hired a professional expert. So in this case, I'm going to tell you what we're going to be doing. I will let you know when your feedback is needed and when your preferences and opinion will actually apply to what we're trying to do. However, with these things, I'm the professional. Here's why. If you do what they ask you to do and it doesn't work, who are they going to blame? You. You. If you do what they want you to do, right? And it doesn't work and they're still happy, are you getting any leverage out of that situation to attract more clients? So if you have zero results, if you get them zero results, is that going to help you leverage your digital presence? No. For example, if I work out with somebody and I'm not fat shaming, if I work out with somebody who's 600 pounds, or if I'm coaching them, who's seen like the 600-pound life? This happens like all the time. And I'm not just picking on people who are overweight. This happens with people of all different body types. The 600-pound life people, right? The doctor will literally tell them, this is what you need to do. Come back in 3 months. And in 3 months, the patient will have barely lost any weight, gained weight, or no change, right? It's a waste of time for who? The patient did nothing. It's a waste of time for them. The doctor didn't get any results. So it's a waste of time for him, right? Even if he's getting paid, he can't increase his ticket price or he can't increase his reach because he has no marketing to say, hey, we helped Susan drop 345 pounds and then we did, gastric bypass or whatever, right? I don't know the show that well, but do you see what I'm saying? So if they're not following your process, they're going to blame you if it doesn't go well. And if it does go well, essentially not that you got results, but that you just listen to them and you appease them, then you have no case study. So you are essentially just becoming an employee again. They have to follow your process. If they cannot, people get like really triggered from this word. I could care less. If they don't follow your instructions, if they don't obey the process, it is a massive red flag. This is one of the big things that they don't tell you when you're an entrepreneur and working with other entrepreneurs. There's nobody in place to check them. So you have to set those boundaries and expectations up front. And you need to know, hey, this isn't worth my time. I'm pulling the plug. So for example, if somebody's saying, I want you to run SEO for 300, 500 bucks a month, you're going to have way more time go into that. So it's not worth your time. The first time, if you want to say yes, just to figure it out and get a case study, sure. But you're going to do that one time. And I guarantee you will never do it again when you see how much work goes into it. Same for paid ads, same for content creation, same for business coaching, same for all sorts of things. Yeah, Jacob.
Well, now, how hard would it be or
What's that? I think your mic muted.
yep, it did. I'm yelling at my screen right now.
All right, go ahead.
So when you said just take the 500, so in what case or what things, how can we protect ourselves for that to be a case study? Like kind of guarantee that being a case study when we just kind of appease them like that.
So you can't appease them on anything unless
Okay.
it's a mutual agreement. If you're just, and I'm not saying like, again, please read between the lines. I'm not saying go out and be a maverick and be rude to everybody. But what I'm saying is if it's not a win-win, then here's the situation. Somebody is either paid for an expert and then the expert's done their job, which is great. That is the only time where everything is a win-win, right? But it's who's going to win more. If they start telling you what to do, it's no longer a win-win, it's a win-lose because you have essentially replaced your job or your employer with somebody who pays much less and expects much more.
Dude, like you know my whole thing. That's literally all I've been. Where it's kind of like that's why I've not like said yes to nobody. There's no agreement and nothing. And then they just think they can get it for free. Like outside of that, I just was thinking, is there ways to kind of protect for me to say yes to one of these people that essentially I know are kind of going to be a headache, but that will also give me case studies for headache people, I think.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. The way that you approach that is you have to pick one of two routes. You have to either pick, I'm going to do it for free and I'm going to learn as I go and it's going to be painful, or option two, I'm going to charge a setup fee and that's exactly what I'm about to show you now. And I'm going to essentially manage a higher ticket, and I'm saying higher relative because it's going to be a higher ticket than most people in the community have charged, which is like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, maybe $10,000 setup. So here's what that would look like. So one of two things. Number one, if you need to learn something, where are you going to go?
Like school, education, get it.
Even simpler. Like if I told you, Jacob, right now, you need to go learn how to use Canva, where are you going to go?
Oh, I'm going to go to Canva,
No, you're going to go Google and
YouTube,
YouTube. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm going to dink around on, that's all I really don't know how to use any of this stuff.
You're just going to go straight to YouTube and you're going to
Dinking
say,
around and watching YouTube videos.
yeah, and you're going to say tutorial. So if you want to do it for free to build your case study, take no money up front and you can say, hey, I'm going to help build one person a case study. And from there, if you work with one, two, maybe three people, and what you can tell them is, hey, you cover the software fee. So they basically have to buy the software and then they have to give you access to it. Then from there, if they ask for a refund, it's not out of your pocket. And you can still send them affiliate codes. So you can still say, hey, sign up with the high level. Here's my link, or sign up with Elementor and here's my link. You can join all of the programs for free. And then from there, you're going to have to learn and you're going to eat the cost of learning. And so you can go to YouTube and you can type in tutorial. And if anybody's watching this and they're like, well, you're not going to learn all of SEO on YouTube. That's not the point. The point is to learn enough to be able to communicate, to learn enough to get just a little bit of results. So that way you can then leverage it into getting more money. That is the whole point of it. And if anyone wants to come and comment or say anything like, well, I can do better SEO, congratulations. There's dudes on Fiverr who will blow me out of the water with SEO. And yet I've closed $7,000, $7,300 SEO packages. That's not a flex. It's to show you that the focus is on the wrong stuff. The focus should never, ever, ever for anybody on these group calls should never be on the technical. Never. You should know enough to communicate and that's it. That is it. That's why I tell you, look at those high level videos. You will learn enough to communicate in a basic rundown. And if you need help doing it, there's YouTube videos. And if you get stuck, there's Fiverr contractors. So the preferred way to do it is you go to Fiverr. And then if you need on-page SEO, you go to on-page SEO and you go, so let's look at a 5-star, 473 reviews. Here's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to click on this and never look at the first price. You always go straight to premium. $500 up to 25 pages. We probably don't need that for starting out website. I'd probably say around here, 250. And then you're going to message them. You never purchase right away. You message them and you say, this is what I'm trying to do. This is the industry. Have you done this before? How do you feel about this? Blah, blah, blah. Can you send me a quote package? And then you can negotiate the pricing with them. The Fiverr people are equally as good as negotiating as I tell you to be. So when we are negotiating or when someone's negotiating with us, you never, ever, ever lower your prices. That doesn't mean that you can't lower the price point. You never lower your prices. You never lower the packages. So here's an example. If somebody says, look at this guy, $500 for what? 25 pages, right? I can't afford $500. That's cool. We can go 250 for 10 pages. You see what happens? And this is just one guy. Let's go back here. I'm going to close my eyes. Somebody just shout stop. Okay. Somebody just come off mute and shout stop. I'm closing my eyes, just scrolling. Shout stop.
Well,
great. I'm going to click on a random one to show you that these Fiverr guys have this down better than 99% of these US based entrepreneurs. $100 on page SEO for homepage. Oh, up to 10 pages. So it's like the more I get, the higher the price goes. And if I say, hey, I want 25 pages, but I want to pay $100, what do you think he's going to tell me? Oh, same guy. Here, let's go to, Oh, what? Did I just pick the same guy twice? Yeah, I did. What the heck? What are the odds of that? Look, it's the same dude. All right, let's go over here. Okay, let's go to this young lady here. She got a whole GIF as her profile picture. Genius. Check this out. Basic, $50. Here's the details. 3 days. Oh, 10 pages. Oh, so another random person. That was really funny. I picked the same guy twice. Another random person understands the concept that if I'm going to do more, I'm going to charge more. If you want me to charge less, I'm going to offer less. That is the only time. So your packages don't actually change in price. You're not lowering your pricing. You're just lowering your packages. Well, I can't do a blog a week for $9.97. That's cool. I can do 2 blogs a month for $6.97. But I want the 4 blogs. Well, that's what the 4 blogs cost. This is what the 2 blogs cost. So what you're going to do if you're selling, and this is why you have to understand what you are selling, what you're offering, what you're not offering. Because once you understand that you are doing on-page SEO, you can come look at the more pricier people. So this, and the from usually means the lowest pricing. So this dude from 345, that's pretty expensive, right? You can have some from 10K or from $10. And look at this 1K reviews at $10. That's nuts. So I'd probably go with this dude, right? But I'm going to look at pricing. Premium is, let me share, 725. So let me look at 725 and then look at the cheapest in the higher end. 725 to 500. 725 to 500. I probably don't need these guys because they're a little pricier. But if I were charging at that level, then I would do a 3 to 5x. Why am I doing a 3 to 5x? Because you are not, listen very carefully, you are not just white labeling. You are not just saying, hey, Ravi, hey, Zahid, hey, Alan, hey, Miranda, go do this. No, you are managing the project. You are watching to make sure the quality is there. You are ensuring that they are giving you what you want when you want it. And then you are either having them integrate it or you are integrating it. So you have to 3 to 5x it because of 2 reasons. Number 1, you are managing it. Number 2, I hope Ravi doesn't find this and leaves Australia and hunts me down. But if Ravi doesn't do a good job and I have 3x's pricing, guess what I can do? With one of the multiples or multipliers, I can go and hire Miranda. And now I've basically have the budget to where I'm still profiting. And I've had maybe Ravi failed and maybe Miranda did a great job. And that way I don't have to go to the client and be like, my guy sucked and they get a refund. That's why we 3 to 5x it. But what's cool is I have to also know industry standards. So if industry standards for SEO, and let's look up average SEO rates monthly, look for these questions, 500 a month to 10,000 a month, usually 100 to 300 an hour. Large projects are about 1,500 to 5,000. Let's see if I go here. I'm looking for between 500 and 1,000 is average retainer. So should I be charging less than 500? No. I should be charging minimum in that price range, closer to 1,000 because I'm going to be 3xing. And then depending on the budget, I'm going to come over here. And because I've priced it in a reasonable sense based off the industry and off of the Fiverr people, I'm going to then come over here and I'm going to manage them. I'm going to figure out what their email is and I'm going to plug them into ClickUp. And in ClickUp is where I'm going to assign the tasks and then assign them to the people. And then you can chat with them in Fiverr and in ClickUp. And if they're good, you're going to let them know in ClickUp, hey, want me to pay you directly through Payoneer? If they say yes, yes. If no, you keep them on Fiverr. This is exactly how you streamline it. Because if you don't productize, if you don't figure out what you're doing, you cannot create SOPs. If you don't have SOPs, then you cannot streamline it. If you don't know what you're doing and not doing, then you don't know how to price it because you have no idea what you're offering. What? Let me get a volunteer to pick on. I say pick on to like really intimidate you guys, but not really. Let me just get someone to pick on.
Yeah, go for it.
Sweet. How much, Christian, do you know about building in-ground pools?
Nothing.
Perfect. Hey, Christian, can you give me a quote on building an in-ground pool in Southwest Houston?
Sorry, I can't do that, but I can try and send somebody your way.
Great. So Christian's like, I don't know how to do it. He can't price it. Christian, what you know accountants pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Great. How much would an average, let's say, individual tax return cost? What's a fair range?
Yearly, anywhere from like the basic tax return, probably anywhere from like 1 to 3K.
Perfect.
Super
So
basic though.
he can give me pricing on that because he knows what he's talking about and he didn't have to go research it. If you don't know what you're talking about, let me back up. You come here, you figure out what you want to offer and don't, and then you come over here and you figure out the pricing for it. And then you can create packages based off of what the competition is doing. And then your claims need to be antithetical and elevated. So try to offer more for less, try to offer more in a very specific space, try to offer a very unique package. And then you're not going to know until you speak with people. And that's where the step 1 and step 4 training come in, where you go to these clients, you basically try to pitch them your claim using the problem agitation, using the group engagement, using the marketing outbound challenge. And then from there, once you have a conversation, you push it to an interview style. And if you can bridge the gap, they will ask you, can you do this? And you will say, yes. And they will say, what's the price? And you'll go, well, it could be this, but it's just this. It all becomes the same. Now, it sounds simple, doesn't make it easy. The simplicity comes in the repetition. So if you've ever been to the gym, then the first time, I don't know about you guys, the first time I ever did bench press, I remember it very vividly. My friend put 2 10-pound plates on both sides. Even with the clips, I was shaking so much you could hear they were like those iron plates. And they were like, because they were going so crazy because I had never done it before. Right. And it was slow. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, it looked like I was benching on the buffalo bar. Have you guys seen those buffalo bars? It's like the wobbly bar. And after a little bit of time, I'm hitting over 300 pounds on bench. I'm moving way faster than I did when I was benching 85 pounds.
You can bench 300.
Yeah, my max is like 345.
Oh my god.
I'll send you a video if you need.
Yeah,
proof.
do it.
If you need proof, I'll send the 315.
I need it.
All right, I got you. But the fact of the matter is, it takes those repetitions to figure out the approach you want to take. It takes those repetitions to get smooth. It takes learning, hey, I probably shouldn't train shoulders immediately before my bench press because it hurts my bench press. I probably shouldn't speak on things I don't know about because then when I get called out, it hurts my reputation. I probably shouldn't try to sell things I don't know the pricing or basic understanding of because then it really shows that I'm not an expert. I might be a fraud and that's going to hurt my chances of closing. So all you're going to do to productize this is you figure out what you want to do, and that will come with experience. So like, for example, a few of you know, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm working with a client right now. I will never work in this industry again. Even at my level, I'm learning, like sometimes I'm picking the wrong client. Sometimes I'm not vetting them properly. You're going to learn. I'm still learning. I still have a long way to go. And what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what you do want to do and don't want to do. You're going to figure out step by step the best order to do that. That's going to take repetition. You're going to then, as you have the step-by-step process of how you're going to do everything, then when it comes to the marketing and sales, guess what? You're pitching to the same avatar. You're pitching the same offers to the same avatar in the same niche. How much variation do you think there's going to be in your sales call? How much variation do you think there's going to be in your DM process? How much variation do you think there's going to be in your content creation? It's going to become so repetitive that you're going to acknowledge how repetitive it is. And when you get to that state, guess what? You are now an expert in that aspect. And it doesn't mean you know everything. At no point will you know everything, but you will now know enough to say, cool, based off of the 300 DMs I've done, it'll be closer to 3,000. Based off the 3,000 DM conversations I've had, based off of the 500 sales calls I've had, I'm going to create my script and I'm going to hand it over to virtual closers. And from there, I'm going to have them record their sessions and I'm going to have them also start testing and implementing changes as they see fit to increase their conversion rates, since I'm going to help them monetize those closes. Yeah, Christian, what's up?
Yeah, so this might be kind of a dumb question, but I'm just going to ask anyway in case
Go for
somebody is kind of thinking the same thing. But as I'm like basically looking at what you offer and what you don't want to offer, immediately I'm just thinking, damn, I just did like probably 6 or 7 of my problem solution, framing CTA stuff. I mean, like right off the bat, I'm just thinking, damn, like why did I even do that in the first place? Because I'm starting to think probably shouldn't be offering that. Like for
So,
example, like whether it's
yeah, go ahead.
Facebook ads or whether it's like organic content, already I'm
I
starting to
knew that.
think,
Let me interrupt you because I knew that's exactly where you were going to go.
all right,
If you remember the triangle ascension and you remember the chronological order of priority, obviously budget comes into factor. Then if we remember, and I can even pull up the document just to show you how this all comes first full circle, right?
so it's like more problems, less severe, and then as you go up, less
Right,
problems, but like more severe.
right. So it's twofold. Number one, nobody up here, because I know you're working with CPAs and accountants, right?
Yeah.
Nobody up here doesn't have a website. You still need the foundation of the triangle. So let's scroll down here. If you were looking at this, and let me I hate their present mode, but I'll do it anyway. If you go right here, right? If you look at this, they still need fulfillment capability, conversion mechanism before they generate traffic. So when you're creating those problem solution frameworks, you can let them know, hey, if you are trying to run ads, if you're trying to do XYZ, and you're trying to set that up in the content, you still need the conversion mechanism put in place. You still need the retargeting put in place. If you're thinking, I don't want to do the marketing side, I just want to do the fulfillment automation side, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. As leads come in from SEO, as leads come in from marketing efforts, whether paid or organic, you still need to retarget them. That is going to factor into the fulfillment model that you are creating. The automations, once they come to the CRM, you can't retarget clients that don't exist. You can't retarget leads whose information you don't have, right? So it still becomes a foundational point. A lot of people I think, was it you, Christian, that I was talking to when they were running like PPC ads to just the website and not a funnel?
Honestly, I can't remember.
I think we were talking about that, how they were running the accounting websites were so terrible. If you,
Oh yeah, with like no pixel, like there was just nothing.
yeah, no
Yeah, yeah,
pixel,
yeah.
no funnel. It was just going straight to the website.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like a freaking Google business site or something. I'm like,
Oh,
"What is
yeah,
this guy
some
doing?"
generic, yeah, some free website. So check it out. That's where you can say, hey, you want to know why your traffic isn't converting? Because your conversion mechanism sucks. Like, it's just not good. It's not clear, or it's all over the place, right? So it's not that. Remember, everything compounds, right? When you solve one problem with a solution, every solution unlocks more problems. That's where this comes into. So the variety of problems will become more and more uh, selective, or the variety will reduce, but the severity will increase. So once you have the conversion mechanism and it's polished, and once you have the SEO for local and it's polished, and once you have the sales and everything and yada yada yada, maybe the problem at the very top is we can't generate anything through paid advertisement, or we're generating a bunch of leads and our profit margin is terrible, or I can't keep anybody. My retention is terrible. Those are very small problems that sound simple. And usually what happens is the solution is very simple. You want to know the number one thing that companies pay consulting agencies for? So when they pay them and they're like, oh, there's a recession, how can we become more efficient? You know what the number one, somebody just take a wild guess what the number one piece of advice that consulting agencies give these companies every single time.
Set up systems and processes.
You would think that's what makes sense.
Is it telling them, excuse me, is it telling them no? Like conceptually?
Cut costs.
Cut costs how?
Fire people.
That's the number one thing they always tell people. Restructure. We're going to help you restructure. That's what consulting agencies do. That's the number one thing they do. They come in and they go, we're going to help you restructure and fire everybody. And we're going to show you how you have a lot of waste. They focus on the optimization portion. If they were smart, they have processes put in place that tracked feedback and identify strong players at an early stage or in entry level positions. And we've talked about this before. Nobody knows more about a task than the person who does it. When I worked at U-Haul, I could sell boxes to, I don't know, I could sell boxes to anybody, because I worked there. I knew how to sell boxes better than the manager. There was a guy who worked at U-Haul with me. He could install hitches on a vehicle better than anybody, better than the manager. Why? Because he's the guy who's doing it. So when it comes to organizing the shop, who should they ask? The manager or the guy who's actually doing the installs? Right? It's all common sense. So when it,
So,
go
oh
ahead.
no, my bad.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but so obviously, like when it comes to setting up the conversion mechanism first, it seems like the best bet is to just kind of DM and target those people who have trash websites and then figure out, maybe then what kind of lead gen do I want to do, if any. So is that kind of on the right track?
So the easiest way when you're starting out for those conversion mechanisms is, remember, everything B2B is money. So you have to translate into dollars, and then you have to make it irresistible. And I know people are like, stop selling irresistible offers. And instead you want to sell offers that they can't resist. Like, that's the same freaking thing, right? You gotta sell offers, and all you have to do when you are trying out at your very, very early in this process is you have to identify easy pain points to agitate. As you get better, you will be able to identify deeper, deeper pain points. So when you're starting out, the website and the funnel is the easiest thing to go after. It's the easiest thing to go after. The Google business profile, easiest thing to go after. An optimized website, easiest thing to go after, right? Because it is so evidently, painfully obvious that a quick resolution will get them quick wins. Low reviews, that is an easy home run. Missed call text back, that's an easy home run. That's why it really aggravates me when I see other people who are like, you can sell a missed call text back for $500. No, I mean, if you can, sure, like, have fun. Like, I hope you sleep well at night knowing that you're just scamming people. But those are easy, easy wins. So what you do is you bundle them all together. And as you bundle them all together, guess how you do that? You list out the things you want to offer. The things that you want to offer are things that you know that you can clearly offer, or you know enough on to communicate to a Fiverr specialist or an Upwork specialist on ClickUp and in conversation. So if I go to on-page SEO, I know these rates are pretty fair, right? I know what I'm paying for and not paying for. I know 25 pages of SEO is going to take a little bit. So when he says, hey, it's going to take me 30 days, I need to be like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I need to bundle into that, package into it, what we call Slack, which is essentially, if he says 30 days, how much time is it actually going to take? Probably 32 days, 35 days, right? That's where Slack comes from. So for you, when you're saying like, what's the easiest way to target it? Easiest way to target it is you build, you know your niche already. You figure out what you want to offer and what you don't want to offer. You have your conversion mechanism already in place. From here, you're going to reach out to them and you're going to agitate the pain point. And when you're agitating the pain point, you need to let them know how what they're currently doing is costing them money directly or indirectly. Like, being a complete butthole of a manager costs you money indirectly because your turnover rate is so high. And because your turnover rate is so high, you're spending a lot of money on acquiring new talent. It's an indirect cost. Being a butthole is an indirect cost. Being a pushover is an indirect cost. Nobody listens to what you say. So people are having to pick up work and then they're leaving because they're like, I'm doing all the work. Who hasn't had a job where you're doing all the work, or it feels that way? Who hasn't had a school project where you're like, I had to do all the work and my group didn't help me, right? That would cause turnover if it were a job. So when it comes to the DM process, remember, we're only doing DMs until we hit a certain amount of clients. But when it comes to that DM process, you're agitating pain points. And you're either doing that in a marketing outbound challenge, which is the Loom video. You're doing that in the DMs, like, hey, where is this? Or, hey, I've noticed this or that. Or you're creating content that causes people intrigue and they recognize that they are not where they want to be. That's also how you create a pain point or agitate a pain point. That's why we love case studies. Here's how I took this client from 4 reviews to 84 reviews and moved him up 3 spots, landing him $28,000 in deals. So guess what's going to happen? Anybody who's not in those results or having that is going to be like, whoa, I could have had way more, that could be me, right? If they are not where you are showing your case study, that's why we love case studies. That is problem agitating, right? If I was like, here's how I took, here's how, I'm trying to think of like a non SaaS one. If I'm like, here's how I increased my bench press 50 pounds in one summer. You're gonna be like, well, I've had a summer and my bench has never increased 50 pounds. So what's he doing? Right? Here's how I dropped 20 pounds in 30 days. Here's how I scaled to 18K a month using my SaaS agency. Here's how I landed a $10,200 client, right? All of those things, if you haven't done them, are going to be intriguing to you. Even if you landed a $5,000 client, you're like, 10,000, that's double. I'm doing 8,000. He's doing 10,000. What's he doing that I'm not doing? Right? These are still problem agitating because you are positioning yourself in a way that is enticing. That's why lifestyle content, this is, you see how it's all coming full circle? Look at the step 3 training. I talk about lifestyle content. When you go out to eat, when you go walking with your family, if that is agitating people, because when I post on my story that I'm able to go on a walk with my daughter and our 3 little weenie dogs at 11 o'clock, most people, what are they doing at 11 o'clock? They're working their 9 to 5. So that's agitating them. I'm showing my life cycle, my life, lifestyle content. And that's agitating. I'm not saying, ha ha, look at me, you're a loser. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, hey, look, I'm enjoying time with my family. How many people want to be in that same position? Right. So that's exactly where, if you go look at all the content, that's where it all ties in. The lifestyle content, they want to be like you. The client testimonials, they want to be like your client. The case studies, they want to achieve those results. The problem agitation, I don't want to feel that pain anymore. That's a pain point I want to solve. The marketing outbound challenge. Oh, it's the pain point of I don't have a marketing team. It's all pain agitation, right? When you get hurt, what do? You go to the doctor. You should be going once a year for a checkup, but I guarantee you, if you get really hurt, you're going right to the doctor. And the first question is never, what is the price? It's always, can we fix it? How fast can we fix it? Cool. What's this going to set me back? That's usually the line of questioning. No one goes into a hospital like, I have a broken bone. What's the price? They're usually like, bro, put this bone back in my flesh. Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, without taking too much time, I'm super curious on why you don't offer local SEO and maybe Facebook ads. I'm sure you know some of that too. I think it has to do with fulfillment and maybe managing expectations, et cetera, et cetera. You know, maybe not being able to always hit those guarantees that you offer in the value equation.
Mhm.
So I guess in hindsight, I'm just trying to understand why you don't offer that since you know how to do it. And it seems like you know a thing or two about it.
Yeah.
Just so, you know, I'm sure other people might think the same thing. So yeah.
For me, it's a matter of what can I fulfill very rapidly and aggressively, and
Okay.
how can I be antithetical? And then here's the thing. If you look at total amount of growth consultants and fulfillment automation specialists or done for you client acquisition model providers, right? So basically what I'm doing relative to how many people run Facebook marketing, relative to how many people run SEO, the numbers are skewed in my favor. So I can do less work, charge a higher ticket, and then I can turn around and hand them off to somebody who's a professional. Like, again, I'm dropping Bill's name because I cannot tell you guys enough. The dude is he's crazy good. He has people who pay like $1,000, $2,000 packages, and he's put over a million and a half in their pipeline. So I can turn around and go, hey, Bill, who's already an expert in this very technological advanced space, I know they're going to get results with you. I'm going to send them your way. And then Bill and I may have a referral agreement where he's like, oh, cool, I'll give you X% based off of this guy that sent you. So for me, I can focus on this part, which I know that I can fulfill rapidly. That's the fulfillment cycle. I can take the next step of the journey and I can then forward it over to Bill. Bill is going to get easy leads because I've basically done the close for him, right? If they got good results and a good experience with me, and I say go to Bill, they're going to go to Bill. It's not going to be a quite. Remember, marketing is all about creating boxes and then checking those boxes. So if they're like, I need an SEO guy, or if I tell them you need an SEO guy, hey, go to Bill. what's always the question when hiring? Can I trust him? Is he going to do a good job? If I'm vouching for him, that's going to check the box. That's why word of mouth is the best marketing, right? Because the box is checked, the box is created, and then the box is checked. I need a lawn care. Who does your lawn? This guy. I pay him because I like him and I trust him and you can see his work. Cool. Box checked. If the box is checked, why would he go, this looks great. This is exactly what I want, but I want to pay somebody else. It wouldn't make sense. It would not make sense when you're at a Mexican restaurant and the fajitas come out sizzling and you're like, I want that. Why would you go like, that looks really good. Let me get something else. Right? The box is created and the box is checked. That's why word of mouth is the best. So for me, I can position myself here in a way that I know I have competitive advantage. So I know my funnel creation system and using the organic content to do the heavy lifting is dominating. I also know not very many people can grasp it as well. I know very soon it will be outdated, but I know in the meantime, when it comes to Facebook and SEO, I'm not going to try to enter a market that is relatively more saturated than where I'm dominating. So how can I still monetize that? Hey, let me send you the bill. Hey, you need help with paid marketing? Hey, go to this guy. And then I'm going to go to that guy and I'm going to be like, hey, I have a client. What's your referral package? Here he is. If you close them, they send you the money. Easiest money you've ever made. And your fulfillment cycle is still streamlined. So I'm still able to compress that fulfillment cycle and I'm able to land a 4 to 10K client every single week.
So it seemed like super tempting if somebody were to ask me, I mean, just using SEO for the example, since you had it on Fiverr, hey, could you do this for SEO, blah, blah, blah. And like knowing in the back of my head, I could probably charge 1,000, 1,500 bucks a month and then profit X amount by offloading it to someone who's really good with great reviews on Fiverr. Obviously, I wouldn't do that because I know I can't fulfill it myself. So if they effed up, then it's like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's why we 3 to 5X. So if they mess up, you can outsource somebody else. That's why you need to just hop on YouTube, do some light research so you can communicate just enough. So if it comes up on a sales meeting, you can reinforce what you're saying. That's why we have the sales meetings on Google Meet or Zoom or Skype or a phone call. And then you have your computer there and you can pull up the answers to questions there if you need to. And then you're going to push it off to the virtual assistant. And that's why, like I said, the first couple times it's going to be awkward, but it's going to get better and better as you go.
So what's like the fine line between referring it to somebody else, like an industry expert, and just taking like a kickback fee versus when do you try and do it yourself, but really just offload it and profit?
Yeah. So let me
What's that
ask you
fine
this.
line?
Let me ask you this. Do you think I'm the world's best funnel creator?
No,
Do you think I'm the world's best automation expert?
no,
Do you think I'm the world's best done for you content creator?
no.
This is where I enjoy focusing my time because this is where I know I usually gravitate towards, and that's where I want to focus. The fine line is what do I want to do versus what do I not want to do? And if anybody, including you, tells yourself, or if anybody tells you, I want to do it all, I promise you there's a lack of experience there. Because when you truly do it all, you will find very quickly what you like and dislike. If you're doing paid marketing versus organic marketing, that's two completely different beasts. If you're doing automations versus sales calls, that's technical versus people oriented. That's two completely different beasts. That's not to say you can't have a weird combination based off of the different type of people we are, but it's to simply say if you think you can do everything, if you're truly telling yourself that, that tells me you're inexperienced, which means go out and try to do everything and figure out where you gravitate. For some people, that's the only way they can learn. You say, yeah, I can run ads. You run ads and you're like, holy cow, that was a hell. Let me try SEO. Yeah, I can do SEO. Oh, okay. I actually like the technical side of it. Or yeah, we can do the automation setup. Right. So you'll find it by experience. I've done the paid ads. I've done the SEO. I had really good results. This is just where I gravitated because for me, this was I had way more control over this. I don't have to rely on Google for SEO when I'm building my automations. That's just me and me. Some people love manipulating, and I say that like it has a bad connotation, but some people love working with Google. Bill will tell you he hates Google and he hates how many updates they have. But I guarantee you when they post an update, he knows it before anybody else. That's just where his passion lies. And when you pick a niche, when you pick a software or a service that you're going to provide, There's going to be things you love about it. There's going to be things you hate about it. It's like when you pick a spouse or a significant other. It doesn't mean that she or he is the perfect person. It just means the good outweighs the bad and they check the boxes you want in a life partner. It's the exact same principle. So for you, you can say, let me try this and test it. And you start broad. As you go through, you will figure out what you do and don't want to do. And then here's another reason why it's good to niche down with the service as you go. So for anyone's like, well, I can just outsource all of it. Here's why it's good to have a process. Because if you run ads for somebody and you get a great case study and you're trying to promote SEO as well, you have no case study for SEO. So your case studies spread you out in different directions. If you're like, I'm great at creating content and I can do your local SEO, but you're essentially having to recreate a case study for each category, a case study for SEO, a case study for review generation, a case study for this, a case study for that. That's why we want to put it in a package. That's where the claim comes in. Now, the claim, as we mentioned at the very beginning of the call, can have offers. So you can say, here's all the things we did, but this was the end result. That's where you can say, cool, if we're doing local traffic generation, I'm going to do the funnel, the website, the local SEO, the automations, and then integrate with the third party. And that's it. So if you're like, what do I offer? If you're completely stuck, start there. Funnel, website, automations, third party integrations, nurture, retarget, local SEO. That's it. And you can add in local SEO's direct relisting, but you see how within those categories, there's still a lot to do. But I'm probably not going to run meta ads for a local business. It doesn't really make sense. Unless I have some kind of like really goofy promotion I want to do, it probably doesn't make sense too much. At least not starting out. I'd rather go with Google local ads, right? All focused on one core piece, generating local traffic. And so
Can you repeat that
PPC,
just one more time? My bad. You said website funnel, automation.
website funnel automations, third party integrations, nurturing and retargeting campaigns, the directory management, which you can do through Yext or Google Business Profile, and then the local SEO. And then with local SEO, if you do want to go into paid, your Google local ads and PPC. So yes, it sounds a little all over the place, but it's all centered on local traffic generation. So if you're completely stuck, you start right there. And if they don't, check it out. If they don't want the local SEO, which you're going to have to charge more for, as we just saw, then you just create everything for a one-time setup fee. And then they pay $97 a month and they have access to all the automations, workflows, and software.
Got it. And it sounds like PPC, Google ad would be like the last step of that, if anything.
Local Google ad.
Okay.
Local Google ad, then PPC. And that's like the dominating for local when you're starting out. You can get into like mailers and it gets crazy really quickly. But starting out, that's the best way to go. I'll take 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Grant, what's up?
Okay, so I remember I was talking to you earlier about kind of the niching down I'm trying to push now. And it's more, I want to just strictly focus on like super, super solid websites and solid local SEO for contractors. And
Okay.
I'm kind of just getting like, obviously I know like that's pretty straightforward, but I know in terms of like the functionality of the website and stuff, a lot of the CRM things will have to get involved. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just like sending out review requests and stuff. So I'm trying not to get too caught up in the CRM work right now, just because I feel like I'm more comfortable and more experienced with websites and
Sure.
messing around with Google. But I was just kind of curious about like how I would incorporate like the functionality of the web development and
Yeah.
like I don't know. You kind
So
of
you would create like, for example, you would have your contact information. So if they call, you can capitalize on the missed call text back. You can have a form where they put the information in. As soon as they put the information in, it sends a text message
yeah,
or
do
it sends
that or like review request out. Like,
yeah, yeah. So you can have once it's done with the job, you integrate with the third party. Once it's done, it sends out the automation. And you want to see how you do it? Oh, these guys have done it. And check it out. This dude, he's done it 155 times. This dude, he's done it 505 times.
wait, so wait, what is this? Sorry.
It's just all I typed in was go high level.
Oh, okay.
Or you
Oh,
go
no, no, no.
to
More so, I think,
I'm telling you they've done it. If you tell them this is what I'm trying to incorporate, what would you suggest? They will tell you.
okay, so you mean by
Here's the beauty of these Fiverr experts. Usually they'll say, I'll do whatever you want. If you say, you tell me what worked in the past or what would you recommend, watch them evolve your whole business.
oh, no, my, VA I've been with since the beginning is, like, evolved my business.
Go to him or
Yeah.
her and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. What do you think? Because if you, and I'm not saying you're not down to earth or humble. I've met with you several times. Um, I know you are very humble when you talk to them. So I'm not saying you're not. But if you, for anyone listening, can humble yourself enough to treat all of these people that you interact with, I don't care how you view them. If you treat them as a king and you value their opinion, people will go above and beyond for you. My favorite expression ever, this is one of my favorite expressions ever, is everybody you meet will know something you don't know. One of my favorite expressions ever. When you view people that way, everybody you meet knows something you don't know, you will value everybody so much more. So when you come to these guys and you go, hey guys, I'm trying to do this or that. I don't really know too much in that regard. Can you share with me what you think will work? If the conversation doesn't go the way you want it to go, guess what you do? On to the next one. That's it. Go on Facebook and you can go to um, high level. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. High level funnels and jobs. You can post jobs and and they will come and they will blow your DMs up and you can vet all of them. And then you find one guy and look at this. You vet one guy or gal that you really like that does a great job or a few of them, and then you keep them. And if they don't do well, you cut them. Not physically, like you fire them, making sure YouTube doesn't like get me out.
I'm more trying to, so would this also, so say I set it up in a certain way, would it always involve on the user's end, like the client's end, them going into the CRM and doing certain things, or like, I don't know, I'm trying to make it as like not part of it as possible, if that makes sense.
You're trying to like remove yourself from the process.
No, no, I'm trying to
Once you
remove
set it
kind of
up.
like the interface.
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking about like once you set it up and they're using it.
So like so not, so more of just like focusing on websites and SEO, and obviously the functionality and like the conveniences of things on Go High Level are needed. Um, I'm more kind of trying to get like the client have like having to use my CRM as least as possible, if like at all.
So I would let them use it. You'd be surprised.
Okay.
If you don't want them to use it, then you let them know it's a fully done for you. If you don't want them to touch it, you use your expert, your high level guy. It's fully hands off, other than like the communication. They probably need access to the communication. But when it becomes fully done for you, they're not going to touch it anyway. And you can just remove access to the CRM and things. So you can interview them in the onboarding process and you can have a larger upfront setup fee and you can figure out the exact CRM, the exact automations, the exact retargeting. And then from there, you build it out and you don't give them access to that. You just give them access to the things you want them touching, like communication, like the all-in-one inbox, right? If you don't want them touching the website, don't give them access to the website.
And I could also like probably do like trigger links to like any CRM they're using too.
You can integrate, if you have the 497, you can integrate with their
Yeah, I do.
CRM as long as it has open API and webhooks. And
Yeah.
I think from talking to you, I'm pretty sure your VA knows all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you go to them and be like, hey, what's the best way to do this? Or hey, what have you seen work? And then guess what else you do? If you watch the SASO training and Simplify, you figure out, hey, client, what are you trying to do with your business? What are things you like to do? Cool. And then you map out and then you go to your VA and you go, hey, this is what he's trying to do. How would we map this out? And your VA will map it out. And you will slowly become a digital project manager because all you're going to do is you're going to talk to the guy or gal who hires you. You talk to the guy or gal who does the work for you, and you're going to mitigate that work and you're going to manage that work and you're going to deal with all the client facing stuff and you're going to deal with all the project deliverables and the quality, and you're going to have to manage the project. This is why digital project management is the way. You know enough to communicate. You never have to, because I promise you, just like I'm never going to be the best funnel creator, you will never be the best at go high level. I'm not trying to crush your childhood dreams, but you'll never be the best at SEO. There's only one of the best. There's only one first place. You don't have to be good. You have to be good enough to deliver results that change their life. And that part is really not that hard. When a plumber comes to your house and they fix a washing machine that's leaking everywhere, doesn't that save you a lot of headache? And for the plumber, it wasn't hard at all. He's just good enough to change your life. If you're starving and somebody makes you a crappy burger, it was just good enough to change your life. So you have to be just good enough to make an impact, and you have to be humble enough to continuously learn and to communicate between the stakeholder and the workers. And you have to be humble enough to have those tough conversations of, hey, buddy, I can't work with you if you're going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to have to let you go if this happens another time. Or, hey, client, this is all I do. This is the price I do it for. If you want less, I either can or can't do it. And you stick to your guns, being humble, because at the end of the day, if you overwork yourself, only thing you're going to do is you're going to piss off the people who are counting on you, your client and your employees, and then it's going to burn you out. That's always the way it goes.
All right.
And there's going to be that leap of action, man. The first time I was doing the Google business, automation, I was like, what am I doing? And then we made him, like, I kid you not, it was 1 week, 28K across 2 days, 4 calls. I was like, wait, did I just stumble into success? And then after a month or two of doing it, you'll look back to new people and they'll be like, how do you do that? And you're going to think to yourself, but it's so simple. This is how it goes. I'll take one last question.
It's not a question, just adding. So yeah, I got into the vaping back in the day when it was like super huge, and I made ton of fucking money, but like it was awesome to get to it. Like I'd always watch these people do the tricks. I was like, no, this is impossible. This is impossible. This is like same thing with like skateboarding, everything. Once it clicks, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Life is great. I get it now. Like there's a weird, I'm just tapping in on it. That's what it made me think. I had hours and hours and hours of skateboarding, unicycling, all this shit. Like once it finally, oh, wow, I'm doing it. So I just want to throw that in. It made me think of that.
Once you accomplish it, everything is like, once you get it, you're like, what's next? Like, that's so easy. But then you have the new guys who fall for it. So for you guys, I want you, just a very quick recap and then we'll break. I want you to focus on your twofold niche. Who are you serving? What are you offering? Make sure what you're offering is bundled in an intelligent way. It doesn't have to be a specific way. It just needs to have some kind of brain cell capacity behind it. That's all. Okay. You're not going to get it perfect the first time. You're not going to get it perfect the last time. Just do it and improve as you go. As you go, you're going to productize what you're offering by creating SOPs. You create SOPs by doing the work, documenting the order, and documenting lessons learned. How can I be better? What do I need to avoid? What should I try next time? Sometimes the lessons learned and what you think will work next time doesn't work as well. And you go, let me go back. Then once you have that standardized for how you're executing, you can standardize your content creation, your DM process on outbounds, your DM process on inbounds, your value engagement. Sometimes you're going to try to do a value bomb in a group and it's going to go terribly. Sometimes you're going to say something really stupid and it's going to blow up and it's going to do really well for you and you learn. And then as you're looking at your fulfillment cycle, how can I communicate this to my contractors? Easy. Fiverr, 3 to 5x the value, pull them to ClickUp, assign the work. The work gets tagged with the folder where you have your lessons learned and the SOPs. And as they are working, you can essentially figure out the way they think it'll go better. Hey, virtual assistant, how do you think we could do this better? And they will tell you because they're the ones doing the work, right? They're the person installing the hitch. So let them tell you how to set up the garage. And as you do that and you repeat that process, you can condense the fulfillment cycle, meaning you're going to get better and go faster and close client after client much, much faster. That is how you condense it. All I do, check my fulfillment for 15 minutes. Go look at the post I shared in SASO University on the page. You condense. The structure you go in is check on the quality of the work, check on your virtual assistants. Next, make sure your content is posted from the recording session you do over the weekend. Next, group engagement, value engagement. Next, doing light research to make sure you're staying with the trends, both on high level and within your niche and within your service focus. That way you're staying up with the SEO trends, you're staying up with the marketing trends, you're staying up with the closing trends, you're staying up with the high level trends, you're staying up with the lawn care or plumbing or legal or medical trends. And that will keep you up to speed with everything. So that is it for today. I'm going to be posting the call tomorrow in the group. Any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and just DM them to me. I'm going to wrap up the recording